وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. بارك الله فيك شمس الدين. May Allah accept. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Okay, I believe we left off with we finish the aspects of the salah as far as the pillars, the obligations, and the sunnah. Now we're going to get into the description of the prayer of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. باب في صفة الصلاة. Okay, بعد أن بينا أركان الصلاة وواجباتها وسننها قولية وفعلية، نريد أن نذكر صفة الصلاة المشتملة على تلك الأركان والواجبات والسنن حسب ما وردت به النصوص في صفة صلاة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، لتكون قدوة للمسلم عملا بقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم: صلوا كما رأيتموني أصلي، وإليك سياق ذلك. So after we clarified the pillars, the obligations, the sunnah of statement and action, speech and action in the salah, now we're going to get into the description of the prayer, and we're going to put all of that into practice. Acting in accordance with the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, pray as you have seen me pray. And this is very important. Very important that we pray the way that the Prophet ﷺ prayed. So in order to do that, we have to know how he prayed. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أمير كيف حالكم؟ Okay. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قام إلى الصلاة استقبل القبلة ورفع يديه واستقبل ببطون أصابعها قبلته وقال الله أكبر. The first thing that the Prophet did صلى الله عليه وسلم when he wanted to stand up for the prayer, he would face the Qibla. He would turn in the direction of the Kaaba. And we already discussed where and what this was. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right? He turned, he faced the Qibla, he raised his hands, and he said, Allahu Akbar, with his hands facing in that direction. Now, there's three ways that this can be done. Either at the same time saying Allahu Akbar, either before by saying Allahu Akbar, or saying Allahu Akbar after you raise the hand. So during, before, and after. ثم يمسك شماله بيمينه ووضعهما على صدره. Then after he said Allahu Akbar, he would place them upon his chest, right over left, upon his chest, like so. ثم يستفتح ولم يكن صلى الله عليه وسلم يداوم على استفتاح واحد، فكل الاستفتاحات ثابت عنه يجوز الاستفتاح بها، ومنها سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. So after this, the Prophet ﷺ would make istiftah. He would make an opening supplication. And you can do so with whatever has been related from him, ﷺ, that's authentic. Of course, we always want to stick with authenticity. There's no need to go to anything that's unauthentic when we have access to everything that's authentic. Why do we need to fabricate things in a religion or build our worship on innovated practices, weak and fabricated hadith when we have access to that which is authentic. One of which he would say, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa tabarak asmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la. And this is one of the opening supplications that he would say. And he wouldn't be persistent upon doing it one way. So we shouldn't be. ثم يقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Then he would seek refuge in Allah from the accursed and wretched devil, Satan. Then he would say, with the name of Allah, the most merciful, the one who bestows his mercy. ثم يقرأ فاتحة الكتاب فإذا ختمها قال آمين. Then he would say, he would begin to recite Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran. And when he finished, he would say, Ameen, Ameen. ثم يقرأ بعد ذلك سورة طويلة تارة وقصيرة تارة ومتوسطا تارة. وكان يطيل قراءة الفجر أكثر من سائر الصلوات. وكان يجهر بالقراءة في الفجر والأوليين من المغرب والعشاء ويسر القراءة فيما سوى ذلك. وكان صلى الله عليه وسلم يطيل الركعة الأولى من كل صلاة على الثاني. Then the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he would recite after Al-Fatiha a long surah at times, or a short surah at times, or his recitation would be long sometimes, or it would be short sometimes, and sometimes it would be in the middle. Sometimes it would be in the middle. And he used to make his recitation in Salat al-Fajr, he used to make it longer than his recitation in the other prayers. He would make it longer than his recitation in the other prayers. And he used to recite out loud in Fajr. He used to recite out loud. And in the first two raka'at in Maghrib, Isha. Maghrib and Isha. He used to recite out loud. And he would recite inaudibly, where you couldn't really hear him. Just so himself, he could only hear. You couldn't hear his recitation in the other raka'at. And he used to make the first raka'ah longer than the second raka'ah, meaning in recitation. So he would recite longer in the first raka'ah than he would in the second raka'ah. ثم يرفع يديه كما رفعهما في الاستفتاح ثم يقول الله أكبر ويخر راكعا ويدع يديه على ركبتيه مفرجة الأصابع ويمكنهما ويمد ظهره ويجعل رأسه هياله ولا يرفع ولا يخفضه ويقول سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Excuse me. Then he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would raise his hands. He would raise his hands like he raised them when he began. And then he would say, Allahu Akbar. Then he would say, Allahu Akbar. So after he would complete his recitation, he would say, Allahu Akbar. And then he would go down into ruku'. He would go down into ruku'. And like we described in the other video, he would grab his knees with his hands. He would grab his knees firmly with his hands. And he would level out his back. He would level out his back so that his back was completely straight. completely straight. And he would make his head the same way. He wouldn't lower it or raise it. He would make his back and head straight. So he would be like this in the salah. Okay? And like I said, we're going to get into a complete description of this later on down the line, but now is not the time. Everyone should be pretty familiar with the positions in prayer. And anyone who doesn't know the positions, then let me know, and I'll send you an illustration before we actually do the video on how to actually perform the salah. ثم يرفع رأسه قائلا سمع الله لمن حمده. Okay, and before I forget, we mentioned this already, but when in ruku', you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. We mentioned this in last class, but this is what's said after saying Allahu Akbar, going into ruku', bowing, you say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Then he would raise his head saying, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Rising from ruku', standing back up from ruku'. وَيَرْفَعُ يَدَيْهِ كَمَا يَرْفَعُهُمَا عِنْدَ الرُّكُوعِ. And he would raise his hands the way that he raised them going into the ruku'. He would raise them the same way coming out of the ruku'. فَإِذَا اعْتَدَلَ قَائِمًا قَالَ رَبَّنَا لَكَ الْحَمْدُ وَكَانَ يَطِيلُ هَذَا الْاِعْتِدَالِ. And when he would stand up, when he would complete his standing, he would say, رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدُ رَبَّنَا لَكَ الْحَمْدُ وَكَانَ يَطِيلُ هَذَا الْاِعْتِدَالِ. And he would elongate this standing. He would elongate this standing. Remember, tuma'nina, tranquility, not rushing from position to position, but becoming tranquil in each position. Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. ثم يكبر ويخر ساجدا ولا يرفع يديه فيسجد على جبهته وأنفه ويديه وركبتيه وأطراف قدميه. Then he would say, Allahu Akbar. And he didn't raise his hands. He didn't raise his hands. So after he says, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, and stood, when he went down to make sujood, he didn't raise his hands again. He didn't raise his hands again. Then he would go down for prostration, placing his forehead and nose on the ground, and his hands and his knees and the bottom of his toes and heel of the instep of the foot. Ball of the foot, like we mentioned. وَيَسْتَقْبَلَ بِأَصَابِعِ يَدَيْهِ وَرِجْلَيْهِ الْقِبْلَةِ. And then he would make his fingers and toes face the qibla. So he would be down this way, and his fingers and toes will be facing the direction of the qibla. وَيَعْتَدِلُ فِي سُجُودِهِ وَيُمَكِّنُ جَبْهَتَهُ وَأَنْفَهُ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ. And he would align his body in this position, and he would firmly place those bones on the ground. وَيَعْتَمِدُ عَلَى كَفَيْهِ. And he would depend on or rest on his hands. He would use his hands to support himself. So he wouldn't balance on his head. He would use his hands to support himself. وَيَرْفَعُ مِرْفَقَيْهِ يُجَافِي عَضُدَيْهِ عَنْ جَنْبَيْهِ. And he would, the upper parts of his arms, he would keep them away from his side. So he would be down, and he would keep his arms away from his side. Not like this, but away from his sides. وَيَرْفَعُ بَطْنَهُ عَنْ فَخِذَيْهِ وفخذيه عن ساقيه وكان يقول في سجوده سبحان ربي الأعلى. And he would keep his stomach away from his thighs. He wouldn't be balled up like this. He would spread himself out comfortably. And he would keep his stomach away from his thighs. And he would say in his sujood, Subhana Rabbiyal A'ala, like we mentioned. ثم يرفع رأسه قائلا الله أكبر ثم يفرش رجله اليسرى ويجلس عليها وينصب اليمنى ويدع يديه على فخذيه ثم يقول اللهم اغفر لي وارحمني واجبرني واهدني وارزقني. Then he would say Allahu Akbar, and then he would sit in between the two prostrations. He would sit down on his left foot. His left foot would be up under his buttock, and his right foot will be up in an upward position with the heel up on the toes. And he would say, Allahumma gfirli, Rabbi gfirli, and what we mentioned, warhamni, wajburni, wahdini, warzuqni, kama tuhib. ثم يكبر ويسجد ويصنع في الثاني مثل ما صنع في الأولى. Then he would say Allahu Akbar, and then he would make another prostration, and he would do the same thing in the second prostration that he did in the first prostration. ثم يرفع رأسه مكبرا وينحب على صدور قدميه معتمدا على ركبتيه وفخذيه. Then he would say, raising his head, Allahu Akbar. Then he would, make jalsa istiraha, sit for a second, and then he would stand up. Then he would stand up, and here the Shaykh is saying, relying upon his knees, using his hands, placing his hands on his thighs. And we have other ways of doing so, clenching the fist and using the fist on the ground to raise yourself up. So either way is fine. Once we get into more detail, and once we start talking about the differences of opinion and really get deep into how the salah is performed and the different ways of performing it, then we'll be able to narrow it down, or at the very least, we'll find other ways of doing it so we can be more in line with following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Doing this taratan wa that taratan. Doing this sometimes and that sometimes, like he would himself, alayhi salatu wassalam. So the sunnah is not strict and rigid like that. And this is how we make islah. And this is how we come together in the issues of fiqh, so that the fiqh doesn't divide us as an ummah. As an ummah. The Prophet ﷺ used to do different things, and our notable scholars, our honorable, noble scholars who spent decades seeking knowledge, studying knowledge, teaching knowledge, and reaching a level of ijtihad. They differ in these issues. They differ in these issues, but they differ with respect. Right? And they bring their evidence, their proofs. So whatever proofs you decide to follow, or whatever you deem to be more authentic, or whatever you learn from your sheikh, who learns from his sheikh, who learns from his sheikh, who learned all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ, then khair, it's good. فإذا استتم قائما أخذ في القراءة ويصلي ركعة الثانية كالأولى. ولوالدي. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. If you know something about that, or if you've seen it mentioned or written, then share it with us. But I've never heard that being said. Rabbi ighfirli wa liwalidayya. What that means is, may Allah forgive me, O Lord, forgive me and my parents. Okay, now, after a person has stood back up completely for the second rak'ah, he starts to recite, and he does what he did in the first rak'ah. He does the same thing in the second rak'ah. So after he completes the second rak'ah, those two prostrations, he sits for التشهد الأول مفترشا كما يجلس بين السجدتين, and he sits the way that he sits between the two sajdas, with his right foot up and his left foot down, resting upon his left foot. And then he makes the ويدعو يده اليمنى على فخذه اليمنى ويده اليسرى على فخذه اليسرى ويدعو إبحام يده اليمنى على أصبعه الوسطى كهيئة الحلقة ويشير بأصبع السبابة وينظر إليها ويقول التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات. Okay. Then he sits for التشهد, sitting in the same manner. Then he then he puts his right hand on his right thigh and his left hand on his left thigh by the knee. And then he makes a circle with his right hand, and he points with his right index finger. He makes the circle like this or like this, right? And he points, and he looks at it. He sits, he points, he looks at it, and he says, التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Then at this point, he stands back up. He stands back up. Right? This sitting is a light sitting. Right? He does this and he stands back up saying, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. He stands up saying Allahu Akbar. And when he stands up, he raises his hand saying Allahu Akbar to begin the third rak'ah. To begin the third rak'ah. And then he prays the third rak'ah and the fourth rak'ah like he prayed the first two. Now, if this is only a 2 rak'ah salat like Fajr or the Sunnah prayers or Eid or Jumu'ah, something like that, then you will stop there. You will stop there and you will complete your prayer there. So let's move forward. Now we're sitting in the final tashahhud. We're at the end. We're going to do the same thing again. Right? Now, okay, now we're not going to get into that. We're just going to deal with the last tashahhud. The last tashahhud. So after you say what we just said, then you will make the salah upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. Still looking at that finger, right? Then at this point, if you have other dua that you can make or that you know, you can make them at this point, right? And the Prophet ﷺ would encourage what? Seeking refuge in Allah. What? A'udhu billah من عذاب جهنم ومن عذاب القبر ومن فتنة المحيا والممات ومن شر فتنة المسيح الدجال. Seeking refuge in Allah from four things. From the punishment of the hellfire, the punishment of the grave, the trials of life and death, and the trial of the fitna of the trial of the Dajjal. The Prophet ﷺ used to do this, and he said that this action, making tashahud, pointing the finger and looking the finger at the finger, that this is more powerful against the shaitan than iron. This was a weapon against the shaitan in the salah. So after seeking refuge in Allah from these four things, and whatever other dua you may choose to make at this time, then you would what? Now you would turn to your right side, but you would begin the salam, the taslim in front. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And this is how you end your salah. And this is how you end your salah. فإذا سلم قال أستغفر الله ثلاثا. اللهم إنك أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. In Arabic, make everything in the salah Arabic. And if you want to make dua afterwards, you make it in whatever language you choose to. اللهم إنك أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. This is what you say after you finish the salah. After the taslim, you say astaghfirullah 3 times. Astaghfirullah 3 times. And then you make what? A dhikr. The tasbih. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. 33 times each. And this is a brief summary of the description of the prayer of the Prophet ﷺ, what has been translated or transmitted to us from the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So make it a point to study. And once again, we're going to get into the actual way that this salah is performed at a later date. Just scratching the surface now. Trying to get through the chapter of fiqh dealing with salah. And we should always know that the Prophet ﷺ is the best example for us to follow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. That indeed in the Messenger of Allah, you have the most perfect example. For you is the most perfect example. For those who wish, their desire is for meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the last day, and who remember Allah much. So this is a description of the Prophet ﷺ, his prayer, a brief description. If there are any questions or comments or corrections, then by all means bring them now so we can address them. Wa alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I don't move my finger. I'm of the opinion not to move the finger in a circular motion. And once again, if you've studied that position, you've seen that position, you favor that position, then it's no problem. If you do so, this is not from the pillars, the obligations of the salah, so it won't affect your salah whether you do it or not. But I don't follow that opinion that the finger should be moved in a circular motion. And as we can see here from what the Sheikh mentioned, he's not of that position. of that opinion either. Naam, billah, barakallahu feek. This is important in general, that the Muslim who wants to learn his religion and learn different aspects of his religion and understand what it is that he's saying while he's making dhikr, while he's reciting Quran, while he's in the salah, then he should be able to distinguish the difference between the huruf, the letters, and the place of articulation, the makhraj. You know, we have the ability, alhamdulillah, especially the English speaking people, we have the ability to pronounce the letters correctly if we practice. So there's no reason for us to substitute the va or the dal with a z or zay. It's easy for us. We know the difference between saying Ramadan and saying Ramazan, or dhikr as opposed to zikr. You know, some people say it because that's what they've heard other people saying who may come from other countries who probably didn't spend a lot of time studying, or it may just simply be difficult for them because of their tongue. You know, but it's relatively easy for us if we learn it, and it definitely can change the meaning of what we say, and particularly when we recite the book of Allah, because this is Allah's speech and we don't want to alter his speech. We don't want to alter his speech. I don't see any more questions. Did I miss any questions? I don't believe so. So with that being said, we'll conclude our lesson for today. And inshallah, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll deal with some of those things that are disliked in the prayer. The things that are disliked in the prayer. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.